of the 2021 ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships, which happens from May 11 to 15. So we're expecting 5 exciting days of action, but first we must have the formalities. I'm your host, Neville, and I'll be taking you through today's proceedings. Easy for me just to introduce some people, and I'll start there with us in studio. Let me start with His Worship, the Mayor, Councillor Delroy Williams. Welcome, sir. Beside him, the greatest boss in life. She's the General Manager of Broadcast Services here at the RJR Gleaner Communications Group, Mrs. Claire Grant. Hello, ma'am. Beside Mrs. Grant, the President of Intersecondary School Sports Association. He's also the Principal at STETS, Mr. Keith Wellington. Sir. Mr. Richard Thompson is right behind him. He's the Chairman of the Organizing Committee for Champs, and he's also the Principal of Titchfield. And then this lady, I actually think she's the owner. It says Chief Executive Officer of Grace Kennedy Financial Group, but she's Grace Burnett. Hello, and welcome. So we will start with the National Anthem of Jamaica, followed by the Chairman of the Champs Organizing Committee, Mr. Richard Thompson, who will lead us into a word of prayer. May I ask everyone to stand, please? Mr. Thompson.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather here to launch the ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships 2021, we recognize that you are the giver of life, and we thank you for your perfect gift. We recognize that you are our strength and our armor, and we thank you for your protection. We recognize, Lord, that if we look to you for direction, you will be our compass. We acknowledge your awesomeness and your power over all things seen and unseen. We acknowledge your mercies, which are renewed each day in our lives. We recognize, Lord, that it is because of your grace that we have arrived in this moment, and it is because of your love towards us why we have survived and endured. We thank you for the vision that you have given to ISA, for the generosity of our sponsors and partners, for the courage of our athletes and coaches, for the support of our parents and the principals, for the love of our supporters and the cheerleaders, for the voice of caution from our naysayers and detractors, for the efforts of the media and the intermediaries who have lobbied for the cause of champs, for the ministries of government and agencies of government who have contributed to the preparation of Champs 2021. We thank you, Lord, for the unflinching leadership displayed by all involved, recognizing that it is only by your will that it will be done. We pray your blessings over these proceedings today and ask you to direct our thoughts and order our steps. Grant us your peace and your joy. As we proceed, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. I think everyone knows that we never had champs last year, so we're going to take you back to Wayne Pinnock of Kingston College, who broke the 110 hurdles for the Class 1 boys back in 2019. Take a look.
Set. Away. And a good start from Brighton Senior. Also Wayne Pinnock of Kingston College is storming now. Wayne Pinnock has actually blown this field away. Rashid Broadwell tries to follow him. Wayne Pinnock on the outside now. Akeem Cargill. It's Akeem Cargill who's going to come through for second. Looks like a Kingston College 1-2. Wayne Pinnock seals a march on this field. We'll keep an eye on the clock. We'll keep an eye on the clock.
13:06 for Wayne Pinnock of Kingston College.
If that stands, Hubert, that will be another record.
What a fantastic season for Wayne Pinnock. 8:05 in the long jump, broke Leon Godd's 1993 mark of 7:87. Here he takes in front of Russell his Class 1 record. 13:10 it was until a few seconds ago to 13:06. Brilliant season, double gold medal. Wayne Pinnock went across to get a hug from his dad. Mom died a few years ago. Passionate story. And here the KC fans, that's purple passion.
You kind of knew that KC had de jour in his sights, in their sights. Pinnock gets a flying start. You see him control that trail arm there. Lead arm is working nice, and he was gone. There was just no catching him. Broadwell makes a run at him here, gets his legs tangled, and the Cargill on the outside comes through for second place. But Wayne Pinnock, from the gun fired, was just on fire. You could see the passion in his eyes, what it meant to him, what it meant to Casey. I knew he was going to come out here and have a fantastic race.
Tremendous race. Here he is, first to hurdle 1, sets the rhythm. With him, Broadwell in the bright yellow vest, but speeding is Wayne Pinnock. Here he is on the outside. Cargill still way back out of the field so far, but Pinnock, with the long jump power, helping him bound over each hurdle, comes off with a full head of steam to 13:06. His teammate Cargill on the left, that's Pinnock. That raised finger tells you he's number 1. KC feeling it. Right now, they're number 1.
Fantastic performance. I suspect that one of the speakers, or maybe all of them, will tell you that you won't see that crowd at the National Stadium this year. It will be an empty stadium for obvious reasons. Maybe this gentleman will tell you that. At this time, we are going to ask the president of Intersecondary School Sports Association, ISA, Mr. Keith Wellington, to join us for his remarks. Sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Neville. Hello, everyone. In 2020, President of World Athletics, Lord Sebastian Coe, awarded the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championship the Heritage Plaque. This designation recognized champs for its outstanding contribution to the sport of track and field. He further declared that the World Heritage Plaque linked champs as an iconic athletic competition with careers, performances, cities, venues, landmarks, and culture around the world. Champs is not just a simple gathering of high school athletes competing for medals and trophies. The Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championship is an international event which has brought success, honor, and glory to many individuals, schools, communities, and this nation. It is therefore befitting that on May 11, 2021, champs will return after the 2020 cancellation due to the onset of COVID-19. It will mark a significant milestone in Jamaica's effort to fight the scourge of this pandemic and return the nation to some semblance of normalcy. ISA and its partners have committed to staging this year's championship in recognition of the value it brings to our country, and in particular, the young athletes who are committed to their own academic and social development through their participation in track and field. We view our involvement as a significant investment in the social capital of Jamaica. It is with this thought that despite the significant challenges that come with planning and staging an event of this magnitude, we have committed to ensuring the safe staging of Champs 2021. Our partners, led by title sponsors Grace Kennedy and media partners the RGR Group, have once again shown their commitment to nation building through their unwavering support for boys and girls championships, even in a time of doubt and even crisis. The commitment has not gone unnoticed, and our young student athletes will forever be grateful for your continued support. Without the blessings and confidence of the government of Jamaica, along with the relevant state agencies, this event would not become a reality. We are pleased at the continued support from these entities and wish to express our gratitude on behalf of our participating schools and the track and field enthusiasts who crave the return of Boys and Girls Championship. It would be remiss of me to not highlight the tremendous service that has been offered to track and field in particular, and the country in general by the organizing committee of this event, led by Chairman Richard Thompson. This committee has worked assiduously for many months to make Champs 2021 a reality. Despite the many challenges, the efforts you have invested will be richly rewarded with an excellent display from all those involved. Finally, well, not finally, I must commend the J3As for its effort in leading this process of bringing back track and field generally to Jamaica, and its effort in working so closely with ISA to ensure that we'll be able to do everything that is required to make this Champs a reality. Finally, it is our desire that the hundreds of athletes and their coaches involved in this year's Boys and Girls Championships will recognize the significant efforts made by many to make this a reality. We ask that our efforts are rewarded with your commitment to make this a safe championship by abiding by all the protocols and procedures that have been implemented to protect everyone involved. And I'd like to add that our recommended procedure for Champs next week is that coming towards the end of this week, you indicate to your employers or whomever you're working with that you will be working from home from May 11th to 15th. You will use your first global cards at the supermarket at high-low preferably. You will then go to the supermarket, stock up on your Grace products. You will go home, use your phone or your tablets. You will ensure that you have One Spot Media downloaded. You will purchase your pay-per-view tickets. And then you are going to say to everyone, I am sticking by the government's policies. I am instituting a curfew, and I will stay at home under strict curfew orders until May 15th. We will have a safe Champs. Thank you very much.
Well, I said earlier he's the principal at States, but so like him work with TVG and Grace also. Thank you, Mr. Wellington, who is the president of Intersecondary School Sports Association. Now, I said that we never had Champs last year, so we're going to go back again in 2019. And we had some amazing performances at the Boys and Girls Champs. And one of those came from the Clayton twins, from Edwin Allen, Tia and Tina.
Set position, bullet start for Brianna Liston. On her outside is Tia Clayton. Inside her is Tina Clayton. The twin turbo engines flying away for Edwin Allen. And it's Tina Clayton who gets the win. And the clock downstairs say 11.27. Earl Bailey called it. And Tina Clayton has delivered it. Big round.
Twin turbos, what a performance again. And Edwin Allen, of course, defending champions. We'll now have greetings from His Worship, the Mayor, Councillor Delroy Williams. Sir?
Hello. It's important for the municipality to give full support to the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championship this year. We didn't have it last year. And not to have it a second year, in my estimation, would have affected our athletes in a major way. our athletes, as part of their maturing as athletes, to use the Boys and Girls Championship as a major feature in their development. This has become part of the culture and the way of life of the city of Kingston. In fact, sports and entertainment is a major feature in the city's economy. We see sports and entertainment as a major pillar of the city's economy. We see Boys and Girls Championship as a major event on the international calendar. And the event does a lot to promote the city of Kingston. I don't believe a lot of persons contemplate how important the event is to the city of Kingston. So we look forward to the event. We are pleased and very appreciative in terms of that the organizers of the event have gone along to ensure that the event take place. Of course, no spectators, so we won't be having any spectators at the Boys and Girls Championship this year. But it's still important because the athletes who get the opportunity to match their skills with their colleagues at schools across the country, and that is very important in their development. So we want to commend, again, the organizers. We want to commend our RJR group and commend Grace Kennedy and all the persons and groups and companies that have worked together to ensure that the event will take place this year. The city of Kingston endorses the event, support the event fully, and say again, we appreciate all that Boys and Girls Championship has done for the city of Kingston in terms of its promotion and its marketing and making Kingston a major feature, a major city on the global scale in terms of sports. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. And the mayor said, I'm going to give you the key to the city. I always wondered where you do with the key when you get it. Wait open, sir. So thank you, His Worship, the Mayor, Councillor Delroy Williams. Earlier, we heard from Mr. Wellington. And I say that to say this, that the protocols that he has spoken about that we have to observe, he would know a lot about it because at Stets, they had a couple of the development meets down there. The Western Champs recently was down there, and they had one before that. So he would kind of know exactly what we're talking about here. So the mayor said we won't have any spectators. I don't want to say the man didn't tell the truth, but it's really not true. We just won't have them at stadium. But in a serious way, we might have even more spectators this year because One Spot Media and right across the world, you could stay at home and watch it. So that's fantastic. All right, so we move on. We will now have, in just a little while, the sponsors' remarks, and that will come from the Chief Executive Officer of the Grace Kennedy Financial Group, and her name is Grace Burnett.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to bring you greetings on behalf of the Grace Kennedy Group at this, the launch of the Grace Kennedy ISA Boys and Girls Athletics Championships. Yes, Jamaica, Champs is indeed back. And Grace Kennedy is proud to be on board with this very important incubator for Jamaica's young athletes. For more than 110 years, Champs has become a national institution in Jamaica and has laid the foundation for some of our very best athletes. Many of these young Jamaicans have gone on to break world records and fly our Jamaican flag very high in stadiums all around the world. Each year, student athletes use the opportunity of Champs to showcase their talents as they vie for athletic scholarships and other opportunities in track and field. So that's why it was a tough call to cancel Champs last year. But it was necessary for all involved. At that time, as a nation, we were just learning about COVID-19, and we simply could not risk exposing our children, the coaches, the wider public, to a new virus we knew so little about. And that's why in 2021, Grace Kennedy signaled that the only way we would support Champs was if there was a way for it to be staged safely. This year, we know much more about COVID-19. And we know, after extensive consultation with all our stakeholders, that there is a safe way to conduct the meet. ISA, Grace Kennedy, and the authorities will be doing everything in our power to protect the health and safety of all champs participants, while allowing our young athletes to showcase their talents and skills and take advantage of the many opportunities that await them. Of course, anyone who has ever been to champs knows that spectators are a key ingredient of the experience. But as we all know, Jamaica is not at that stage of the pandemic where we can gather safely en masse in public. So while this year we'll not be congregating at the National Stadium in the way we normally would, I take this opportunity to encourage all Jamaicans at home and abroad to find new ways to support their teams. Stay at home and be a real fan. Decked out in your colors, showing school pride, tune in to watch this year's championships live on TVJ and online. Our GK media pages, social media pages, will be abuzz with activity in the lead up and during the event. We're having a Zoom party courtesy of Grace Kennedy Money Services and Grace Foods. And we invite you to don your colors and join the party and show your school pride. Over this champ season, Grace Foods has been and will continue to be the taste that moves you for Champs 2021. We have provided extensive support for the J3A qualification trials, as well as the 3 regional finals, Eastern, Central, and Western Champs, which were the qualifiers for the championships. We have also been conducting virtual school tours, where we've been chatting with coaches and athletes and students about their journey through COVID to champs. And we have taken our nutrition hub to the virtual space, providing coaches, athletes, parents, and the public with information about proper nutrition. During champs, we'll be providing isotonics to keep our athletes properly hydrated and energized with Lucozade. Grace Foods will also have some very special giveaways for some lucky schools. Over on the financial side, which I lead, we want you to go for gold with Grace Kennedy Money Services and Western Union. During the 5-day championships from May 11 to 15, 25 customers in Jamaica will walk away with $10,000 just for doing a Western Union transaction. And we're not leaving out our family in the diaspora, as we invite them to register for our direct-to-bank service. If they do that via gkmsonline.com, we will give them a free pass to watch champs via live one-spot media for Friday and Saturday, so we can cover the cost of that viewing. Grace Kennedy remains committed to champs and its ideals, which for over a century has given our young athletes a place to shine. Our unwavering commitment is about providing support and creating opportunities for our Jamaican youth. Along with ISA, the athletes, the coaches, the schools, the officials, our fellow sponsors, and all other champ stakeholders, the entire Grace Kennedy family looks forward to a safe and successful meet. Because when we work together towards a common goal, we prove that we are indeed stronger together. We do care.
Thank you very much, Grace Burnett, Chief Executive Officer of Grace Kennedy Financial Group. You know, recently I did a family search, and when I heard Mrs. Burnett say financial side, which I lead, I just remembered that we were related. I don't know if Mrs. Burnett knew that, but it's my cousin. So financial side that I lead, that we lead. We continue. Before we head to our next guest, we've been showing you not little races from 2019. We go back there again. This young man dominated the 2019 Boys and Girls Champs in fine style. Well, he was a young man, he dominated the boys side, smashing his own record to win the boys Class 2 110 hurdles. Look at this.
Class 2 boys 110-meter hurdles final. Granville, Lamb, Stern, Vassiana, Sutherland, Sigree, Williams, Francis. Bang! sent away, and a good start for Vashan Vassiana. Javel Granville of St. Jago has absolutely flown out of the blocks, but here comes Vashan Vassiana now. He is the class of this field. Keep an eye on the clock. Vashan Vassiana eases up and takes it, points across the line. His teammate Javel Granville also in a celebratory mood. Green and gold, St. Jago.
Is it a record?
It is. Look for the win.
As it
win
stands,
readings.
13:26 for Vashan Vassiana. That obliterates his record from last year, 13:35. And once again, the Quinilla for St. Jago.
He got a terrible start, seemed to have stumbled out of the blocks, and Granville was gone. He really had to focus and, zone in and really do some serious hurdling. Look at him, right down the middle of his lane. Shows the speed and control that he has. Nice, clean hurdling. Look at the arms pumping. Look at him focused. Getting back on the ground, didn't run through the line. Didn't need it to break the record.
So, according to the public announce, the wind, Hubert, is legal, and so.
Past students are incredible. So my boss, Mrs. Grant, obviously went to San Diego, and while the race is going on, she flashed off everybody in our studio. Everybody. So she's our next guest. We will now have our next sponsor's remark from Claire Grant, General Manager of Broadcast Services at RGR Junior Communications Group. Ma'am?
Yes. Good day, everyone. Navigating this pandemic has been a challenge for everyone. But our experience tells us that the event has had its moments. It's had sad moments, but it's had its moments. Individuals, communities, companies have grown. They have become resilient. We've thought of new ways to be, new ways to live. So many of us have adapted and reinvented ourselves because life, in spite of COVID, marches on. And it was very interesting to me late last year when Issa made contact. And Issa said, we're talking about Champs 2021. Interesting because similar to what we have had to do during the course of the year is to think of so many ways that something can happen. Not necessarily the way you're used to it happening, but the what ifs and the what ifs and the what ifs. And Issa at the time, if I remember correctly, had about 3 different variations of what could happen. This is long before we had the spike. There was a plan for the spike. Because life goes on. I think it is therefore fantastic that the organizers of this event, I call it a stalwart event, a Jamaican sporting event, a Jamaican entertainment event, a Jamaican career launching event, have worked alongside our government agencies to develop, test, and execute methods for us to have champs this year. It's really important for people to understand what is going to happen from May 11th to May 15th has had a test run 3 times. 3 major events where we've gotten to establish what the protocols could look like and how we would be able to do this in a safe way for all involved. As a broadcast sponsor, and personally as a fan, 2020 without the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Champs just felt so wrong. The mayor has said so too, but I just have to reiterate it. It almost was one of those moments that made you wonder if the year had actually happened, because the year really should not happen without Boys and Girls Champs. But we know at the time, as Grace from Grace has said, there was no option, and we had to do the right thing. But we are very, very happy, really glad that there will be some version of the event for 2021. I say some version because the greatest place for you to be in Champs is actually in the stands as a fan. There's nothing that compares to that. But as I said earlier, we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to figure out how to do things differently because times have changed. As a people, we think about this term that they're calling the pandemic fatigue. And I am 100% sure that the staging of the event next week is going to have a remarkable psychological impact on many Jamaicans at home and abroad. because it's going to give us a taste of that normal that we have been craving for so many months. TVJ at home, Television Jamaica Sports Network at home, and abroad via One Spot Media on pay-per-view, we're going to ensure that everybody who wants to see this event, who really would have wanted to be in the stands but you can't be, will be able to see it. You'll also be able to hear on Hits 92 FM full coverage. Also, Power 106 will be having highlights, and on the last 2 days, full coverage. And this is really very important, we believe, for Jamaica and Jamaicans outside of Jamaica. Already, our pay-per-view has shown, once we release those tickets from the first day, people have been signing on because they want to be a part of this really remarkable event. ISO, Grace Kennedy, thanks. Thanks for standing behind this event that means so much to Jamaicans everywhere. Thanks to the government for making the effort to work alongside the sponsors and the organizers to see that we could actually make this happen. You have all ensured that this event is going to happen, and we're going to ensure that everybody sees it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Our General Manager of Broadcast Services at the RJ Aguilera Communications Group, Mrs. Claire Grant. Our next sponsor's remarks comes from Mr. Alfred Francis from Puma, who joins us via Zoom. All yours, Frano.
Greetings, everyone in studio, all the listeners on TVJ. It is indeed an honor for Puma to be once again sponsoring the ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships. I know the coronavirus pandemic has affected us all in different ways, from the simple act of greeting a friend to how we work, play, and school our children. Sports, in our case, track and field, is no exception. This makes the support of Puma and all the other sponsors more critical at this time. Organizing this year's championship will rewrite the scope of work for the organizing team, and I must commend the president of ISTA, Mr. Keith Wellington, and his organizing committee for their passion and their efficiency. Puma is also privileged to support other associations in Jamaica, namely the GOA, the J-Trade, the Gibson Macook Relays, Reggae Marathon, and approximately 50 senior Jamaican athletes. We also take great pride in our mandate to develop young talent through our sponsorship of 9 high school track and field programs. Wilmer's High Boys and Girls, St. Jago High Boys and Girls, St. Elizabeth Technical Boys and Girls, Calabar High, Jamaica College, and Kingston College. Champs is the competitive manifestation of all these high school track and field programs. Many of our world-renowned athletes receive the first chance to display their potential at Champs. It is a natural fit for Puma to partner with this event as it continues to communicate a very positive image of Jamaica. Champs is a unique experience of world-class high school performances and Jamaican excellence. For many Jamaicans, the attachment and support of our former or adopted school makes it a very compelling proposition. Track and field is the heart and pride of Jamaica. It is a national sport. The country puts a high level of support behind young athletes, and Puma is proud to be associated with this phenomenal experience. In closing, I would like to just express the Puma mantra, just to say that we are stronger together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frano. There's a reason I wear this morning, STGC, and we have one athlete at Champs this year. Maybe Puma could, one more set of gears can't hurt them, you think? What do you think, Mrs. Grant? But they have done wonderfully, not only for high school athletes, but Usain Bolt is sponsored by Puma, and a number of big-time athletes are sponsored by Puma. So we want to thank Alfred, and we want to thank Puma for helping us. We move on, folks. So to give us an overview of this event, we invite Mr. Richard Thompson, You saw him earlier with the prayer, but he's the chairman of the Champs Organizing Committee, and as I said earlier, the principal of Titchfield High. Sir?
Thank you, Neville. Good day, everyone. The journey to the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships 2021 started on March 11, 2020, after the sudden but necessary cancellation of that year's edition. That journey has been filled with multiple hurdles. It is analogous to the steeplechase, covering the distance of a marathon, but competed at the pace of the 100 meters. When the discus and javelin, in the form of doubts, queries, stringent protocols, and stipulations were thrown at us by the different state agencies, we had to negotiate their safe landing within the sector of health and safety. We couldn't afford to drop the ball on this one, though conditions and terms were as heavy as the shot put implements to be used at the Games. The Issa Grace Kennedy Championships has always been a team effort. However, this year in particular highlighted profoundly what that meant and redefined the term teamwork completely. It was often difficult to tell who were sponsors, partners, or meet organizers. The zest and energy with which persons approached the planning truly showed that these championships are bigger than any individual, any agency, sponsor, partner, or even Issa. It is truly a national treasure deserving of the designation of heritage event by World Athletics. And we are delighted to share it with the nation and the world for that matter. As indicated, the date of the event is Tuesday, May 11th to Saturday, May 15th at the National Stadium. We have entered for the events 68 male teams, totaling 506 athletes, 61 female teams, totaling 464 athletes. Total athlete count to this point, 970 across approximately 80 schools. Interestingly, however, only 50% of schools, have less than 10 athletes. We have adjusted our regular start and finish times with considerations for the requirements under the Disaster Risk Management Act. From Tuesday to Friday, we kicked the event off at 9 a.m., closing at approximately 5:45 p.m. And on Saturday, our final day, we begin at 10 a.m., ending approximately 3:30 p.m. Our student athletes will compete in a total of 85 events over the 5 days, with finals spread across all 5 days. On Tuesday, we have a total of 16 finals, highlighted by the girls' class 1 and 2 100-meter hurdles. On Wednesday, we have 5 finals, all in field events. On Thursday, 11 finals, highlighted by the 100-meter semifinals and finals. On Friday, 17 finals, highlighted by the boys' class 1 and 2 400-meter finals. And on Saturday, 36 finals, all finals, highlighted by the 400-meter, 4x1 relays, and 4x4 relays. This represents another effort to have some athletes complete their stay at the championships in one day in many instances, or at least quicker than previous years. Therefore, an athlete participating in one event will not have to stay for 3 days. We have made adjustments to the qualification system in an effort to reduce the number of participants while allowing reasonable spread of participating schools and at the same time maintaining the high standards that we have become to accept and love. In the sprints, 100, 200, and 400 meters, top 2 from each regional meet and the next best 24 taken from the trials organized by the J3As will be in competition. For the 800 meters and hurdles, top 24 in the island, no automatic qualifiers from the regional events. For the distant events, that's the 1500, 2000, 3000 steeplechase, top 15 in the island, no automatic qualifiers from regional events. For field events, top 12, no automatic regional qualifiers. All field events will be straight finals. For the relays, we'll choose the top 16 teams from the J3A's qualifying meets. No automatic qualifiers from regional events. 4 teams will be listed as standby. For the medley relays, all entries will be accepted. For multi-events, HEP and DEC, all entries will be accepted. Each team will be allowed a maximum of 2 competitors per event, only if both are ranked according to the guidelines above, adopted only for 2021. Schools having more than 2 athletes ranked will not be given an extra spot. In the event a ranked athlete is unable to compete, schools will not be allowed a replacement. Instead, the athlete ranked immediately below the cutoff line will be promoted. This year will be a largely paperless result management system, and the presentation ceremony will not be done in the competition area, but instead at the entrance to the grandstand. We still want to give our sponsors their pound of flesh. Testing. As a condition of the approval granted to host this event, ISA has made arrangements for the testing of all participants for COVID-19. Over this weekend, those testing will be done. A negative PCR test no older than 72 hours must be produced to be accredited. Additionally, and equally important, we have adopted in some instances expanded the protocols developed by the J3As and have had training of COVID-19 marshals to enforce these protocols throughout the championships. Competition protocols are specific to event types. Individual track events, relay events, vertical jumps, horizontal jumps, and throws. Teams will be required to adhere to established and approved competition protocols, which will allow for adequate physical distancing and sanitization. The details have been provided in a manual to all teams and will be monitored by an internal COVID-19 logistics committee as well as state agencies for compliance. Other protocols in place include meet official protocols, warm-up area protocols, post-event protocols. Teams will be required to adhere to established and approved transportation protocols, which will allow for adequate physical distancing, mask wearing, sanitization during transportation to and from the venue. The details have been provided in a manual to all teams and will be monitored again by internal COVID-19 logistics committee as well as state agencies for compliance. You see, it's not wrong to repeat that particular point over and over. Teams will be required to adhere to established and approved lodging protocols, which will allow for adequate arrangements that will factor in physical distancing, mask wearing, sanitization, healthy meal preparation, and sleeping arrangements during the championships. The details have been provided in a manual to all teams and will be monitored by an internal COVID-19 logistics committee as well as state agencies for compliance. Athletes, athlete support personnel will be required to remain in designated holding areas away from the competition venue until the specific event is scheduled. They will be allowed in the competition venue 2 hours before their specific event and must leave the venue no later than 1 hour after their event. We have established an internal compliance committee, or COVID-19 logistics committee, led and managed by a team of principals, who will be supported by trained compliance officers who will ensure the strictest adherence to the established protocols and are empowered to provide support where needed and sanctions where necessary. Let me remind all persons, no spectators, no vending. That's the designation of this event. And therefore, we invite fans to watch from the comfort of their homes. Allow me, on behalf of the organizing committee, to extend our sincere appreciation to our sponsors, Grace Kennedy, First Global Bank, Catherine Speak, Lucas Aid, and our media partner, RGR Communications Group. Also, to the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, the Honorable Olivia Grange and her team, the Minister of Local Government, the Honorable Desmond Mackenzie and his team, the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Christopher Tufton and his team. You have demonstrated beyond doubt that you believe in our children and their tenacity and courage to overcome all obstacles. That you believe in the mission of ISA and our indefatigable spirit and will to lead even in the face of adversity such as this pandemic. Your commitment to the cause will be central to the story when the history of the pandemic and how it affected sports is told. We accept that there is an element of risk, but are confident in the measures put in place to avoid, or at worst, minimize those risks. We encourage all participants, athletes, athlete support personnel, officials, sponsors, partners, to follow all the COVID-19 protocols slavishly as we work towards delivering a successful 110th staging of the championships. We further encourage all our fans and supporters to watch from the safety and comfort of your homes and offices, and assure you that when next you are allowed to join us in the stadium to cheer, we will collectively make that experience a grand one. And in closing, on a personal note, I would like to highlight the fact that the Champs Trophy, named in the honor of Mortimer Geddes, who was a former principal of Titchfield High School, I think it is fitting that the re-establishment and the reinvention of Champs is managed by another principal of Titchfield, yours truly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I was a little scared just now. I thought you was going to say Titchfield was going to win. Eh? No, what's up? Eh? Thank you, sir. Mr. Richard Thompson is the chairman of the Champs Organizing Committee. I was kind of trying to mouth a question to my boss before I came back up, because I know she said we're on YouTube. No, the launch is on YouTube, not the Champs, yeah. All right, so now we have some questions. We have some journalists, but before, may I ask the first one? And I don't know if the principal of Stets or Mr. Thompson will take this, and I think you guys would have to come up to the mic so everyone could hear you. It's a very simple question, because Mr. Thompson said less than 1,000 athletes this year. I just want to know, normally, how many athletes would we have at Champs? Yeah, you need to come to the mic so we could hear you. While we get our journalists organized, normally about how many athletes would we have?
Over 2,000.
Wow. 2,700?
Yes.
Wow. And we're down to under 1,000 now.
Yes, 107.
Do you think that anyone will be left out to, for want of a better phrase, who ought to be there?
We anticipate that there are athletes who will feel that they should have been at the championships, but we feel confident in the qualification mechanisms that we have put in place. We have been keen to ensure that we have representation from all regions. You would have heard me mention the fact that the top 2 athletes, especially in the sprints, will come from the regional meets. But we have limited the number of athletes per school to 2. In previous years, you would find that multiple athletes, even beyond 2, would have qualified from one school. But we wanted to be fair to all our member schools, so the spread was put in place.
Fantastic. Mr. Thompson, could you just stay there, because we have some journalists. I don't know the names of the journalists just yet, so I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, tell me which company you work with, and if the question is for Mr. Thompson, fine. If it isn't, then we will, whoever you want to talk to will go. Anyone there with us right now? Is any one of our journalists there?
Yes. Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, could you just introduce yourself, sir, and tell me which company?
Robert Bailey from the Gleaner.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. In terms of security, what's the arrangement like for security for this year's champs?
Right, I'll take that. Our security arrangement will be robust. I can say the job this year is not to keep people in and for them to be orderly, but to keep them out. And so we have to put adequate security in place to ensure that it remains a no spectator event. So it will be adequate and robust. Private security and the police will be in place.
Any other question, Robert?
Yeah, a follow-up one.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan is to spend more on security this year, or it's the same amount compared to previous years?
It will be similar and adequate based on our assessment and advice from the security experts.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Robert. Robert Bailey from the Gleaner. Anyone else there with us? In the meantime, I'll ask another question. I read that everyone who will be at the stadium, everyone has to be tested before. Is that so? I know the athletes will be tested, and everyone, media, everybody?
The stipulation that we would have received in the approval recommends or instructs that all participants must be tested and must provide a negative COVID-19 test no older than 72 hours to be accredited. And therefore, to enter the stadium, since there are no spectators, all persons would need to be accredited.
I also read that Intersecondary School Sports will pay for the athletes?
We have responsibility to pay for the test of athletes and all persons directly involved in our side of things.
Is TVJ on your side of things?
I'm sure our general manager will be gracious enough to assist us as a sponsor. As a sponsor.
Does that mean does that mean, sir, I want to be clear that TVJ is not on your side of things? I just want to know that.
Maybe I should define from a technical standpoint in terms of execution of the events.
Yeah. In the 5 days, and I asked this question, might sound a little strange, but in the English Premier League, the footballers, I'm told, are tested like 3 times for the week. In the 5 days, is it just one test before and that's it?
The requirement is one test, but we are keen to ensure that the protocols are observed in terms of transportation, in terms of competition, in terms of lodging. So we are confident that with the PCR test, which we are told by the experts is the most reliable test, with that showing a negative test and with the protocols in place, and sanitization, well, the sanitization is a part of the protocols, but we should be fine with one test.
Will all races have 8, 9 finalists, or do you space them out, or 3, 5? What do you
I think they will be spaced out and made to be adequate in terms of the competition protocols.
And will the protocol, with the races, will it be time, or you go to a final, you have 8 people in the final, and who will win the gold medal?
They will go to finals and persons will win the gold medal.
Because I know in the development meets, some of the races were on time.
Right.
So you might have 500.
In the interest of time, some of them were timed.
Right.
But, we have
but that won't happen at Champs.
No.
Okay. Stay with us, please, sir. Anybody else on Zoom with us? All right, so that sounds like it is that. I'm going to ask Mrs. Grant to come back up, if you don't mind, Mrs. Grant, just again to go through where we can see all of this. I think we might have to do some sanitizing before you get there, just in a second. So again, it is May 11 to 15, which is next Tuesday. You heard Mr. Thompson, starting at 9 o'clock every morning. It will be live on TVJSN the entire day. It will be live on TVJ also. And again, Mrs. Grant will tell us the other, what do you call them?
Yes.
The other areas
Yes,
that you'll be able to see it and hear it. Please, ma'am.
Right, so it's important to note that you will be able to see it globally. So in Jamaica, Television Jamaica and TVJSN will be the brands that will be showing it. And we launched a couple of years ago our OTT platform. Long before that was a sexy word, we've had it. And on that, you will be able to get TVJ and TVJSN in Jamaica as well. Point being, if you have your phone, if you have your iPad, if you have a laptop, if you just have to go to work because you really couldn't get to work from home. No, I shouldn't really say that because they're supposed to be working, not watching champs. But you would be able to watch it on any device, in your farm, wherever you can go on. Outside of Jamaica now, it again is the One Spot Media portal, but you will not be able to see it on the TVJ and TVJ-SN channels. There, it's a pay-per-view that you'll have to go in. And as I said, the people have been lining up. I mean, last year, as I've told my ISA friends, that we had a lot of people that actually paid at that time, and we had to refund those. So again, once we let the tickets out, everybody was buying it. So outside of Jamaica, it's the pay-per-view. Important to note, because we have seen it happen, that if you're in Jamaica and you want to watch the pay-per-view, you can. The pay-per-view is ad-free. So some people who are, purist track and field fans do actually watch the pay-per-view in Jamaica.
So
because
pay-per-view, you have to pay for it in
you
Jamaica?
have to pay for it.
In Jamaica also?
Yes. But in that experience, there are absolutely no commercials in there.
Do you remember the cost? Or
at this point, the early birds are finished. So the season ticket is $34.99 US. Day 1, day 2, day 3, I believe is $10.99. Day 4 is $15.99, and day 5 is $25.99.
By the way, it's $10.99 US, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for joining us this morning. I just want to say thanks to the president of Intersecondary Schools Sports Association, Mr. Wellington. Thank you, sir. Mr. Thompson, thank you. Mrs. Burnett, thank you. Your worship, thank you so much for coming. And Mrs. Grant, usually I ask her a question, but I don't think this is the right time to ask her. We will see you and you will hear us, if you can't see us, on May 11, Tuesday, next week Tuesday. We start at 9 in the morning, and again on TVJ-SN we go right through. TVJ might have some other obligations that sometimes we might have to leave and go back, but TVJ from top to tail, as they say, we'll be there on onespotmedia.com, as you heard. On radio, Hits 92 and Power 106. Thanks. I'm Neville. God bless you all. Stay safe, please.
Hi, I'm Renato Brown from the RJ Aglina Communications Group. I'm a sports reporter, producer, and most importantly, a commentator. Now, the 2021 ISA Boys and Girls Athletics Championships will run from May 11 to 15. You can catch it live on TVJ, TVJSN, onespotmedia.com, and TVJ's YouTube channel. Now, you can catch 5 days of exhilarating track and field uncut on One Spot Media pay-per-view. That's One Spot Media pay-per-view. 5 days, non-stop track and field, uncut. Watch it wherever you are, from whatever device, on One Spot Media pay-per-view. Get your ticket now. I mean right now.